Okay, so we're a little late. We are on 98A at towards the bottom. So we said that maybe 10 lines from the bottom. It says that So Ketzad Nosen Shtayim Arachas Shel Sheish. Nosen Achas Shel Arachas. Right, we did that. Yeah. Shtayim Shel Sheva. So let's say you had 12 breads, but instead of putting 12, 6 and 6, you did 7 and 7. How do you view that seventh bread? As if it doesn't exist, or it's a problem? Rabbi Omer Ronas Halyona Kilu Eina. We don't view like it does anything significant. It's just extra, and therefore it doesn't take away. It doesn't add nothing. It says though you put the frankincense on the bread. And if you have a seventh bread and the frankincense goes on there, that's going to be a chatzita. That's going to be an interposition. So it has to be on the sixth bread, not on the seventh bread. Rabbi Latame. Rabbi goes according to his reasoning that the word al could mean on or could mean next to. Damar al b'samuch. As Rabbi says, al means next to. Now, the Tanya Rabbi Omer Menasat al Marekas Lavona Zacha al b'samuch. Look, Rabbi says you put on the table on the settings, you put the frankincense next to the bread. I think it's in between the two settings, not on the bread itself. How do you know? Ata Omer al b'samuch and ela al mamish. You're telling me al means next to. Maybe al means al mamish on. It says kishomer. If it's a kosal aron, it's a paroches. You put on the aron the paroches, the curtain. So have omer al b'samach. You're not putting the paroches on the aron, the curtain. You're putting it next to it. So there you have the word al, and it means next to. So to hear the word al will mean next to. Okay, next part of the Mishnah called Kanesh Mikdash. Tana Rabbanon. Kollel Kanesh Mikdash Archon Li Arko Shel Bayis Chut Me Aron She Archo LeRavcho Shel Bayis. So we know that you walked in to the base of Mikdash. So you walked in from west to east. So that means on the left side was the north, and the right side was the south. So anything that he's saying that all the vessels in the temple, they were placed according to the length of the base of Mikdash, meaning you would place it east to west. You wouldn't place it north to south. So just in our vernacular, east it'd be you place it vertically, not horizontally. It was facing east to west. When you walked in, they're all. So you walk in on your right side is the menorah. The menorah is facing east to west. The table is facing east to west. It's not going this way. It's not going horizontally north to south. So okay, except for the aron. So the ark in the Holy of Holies, that was not placed vertically. Rather, that was widthwise. That was horizontally. That was placed east to west. So yeah, instead of being placed like this, it's placed like that. Right. So sorry, not vertically. You're right. Sorry, not vertical. It wasn't standing up yet. Yeah. It was placed. Thank you. It was placed east to west. It wasn't placed north to south. Yeah. Now, chutz mi aron sharchol l'ravcho shabayis v'kachaya munach. That's how it was placed. V'kachaya badav munachim. And then a cryptic statement. That's how its staves were placed. So what does that mean? Mai kamer, hachi kamer. Kachaya munach. And midabadav kachaya munachim. Just like it was placed east to west, so too the staves were also placed east to west. So we'll see where the staves were placed. So if they were like this, then it was east. No, sorry, it was east to west going across, and the staves were also kachim menachim, but they would go this way. Yeah. How do I know? Minalan. It says the Tanya v'yarichu habadim, that the staves were lengthened. It says in Malachim. And what happened? It says they're very long. So Yachol lo hayunogin beparochas. you would think that they weren't touching the curtain. There's a curtain at the entrance of the Holy of Holies called the Parochas. So you would think that they were not touching that Parochas. Yeah. So Talmud Lomar Vayiru sounds like you could see them. So Eva Yiru Yachlu Mikroim Parochas. If you could really see them, they would go through the curtain. You could see them from the other end. The Yotzin? No. Talmud Lomar in the same verse, Lo Yiru. Lo Yera'u Hachutza. You couldn't see them. So what does it mean? Vayera'u, you saw the heads of them, but you didn't see them at all. It's a contradiction in one verse. What does it mean? So the answer is, Haketzad, next page. The answer is, Dochakin uboltin beparochas. They would go touch the parochas, and they would protrude outwards. So meaning,
like two breasts.
The domin came in shnei dada isha. Yeah, it would be like two breasts of a woman. So that, how do you read the verse? You see that there are stabs put, like the kids hide under the blanket, right? You see their head sticking out of the blanket, but you don't see their head because they're playing hide and seek. So you have the stabs are pushing the parochas. So from the outside, you don't see the actual stab, but you see that they're there. Kimin shnei dada isha shenamar. How do I know that it's supposed to be like this? It says Tramar Dodili that in Shira Shir, it says the breasts to me are like this myrrh, this special spice. Bain Shadayalin, I rest between the breasts. I saw some say that just like breasts are nourishment for the child, so too the Aron, the Ark of the Torah, is nourishment for the Jewish people. So, Uminolon de Badav Leputya de Aron Have. How do I know that the staves are Leputya de Aron Have Yasmi? Dilma la'arko de Aron Havayasvi. Who told you that they go along the width? Maybe they go along the length. So, no, yeah, like this. The Aron is east to west, and the stabs are here along the width, not along the length. When they're along the width, so they're really perpendicular to the Aron. The Aron you walk in, it's east to west. So, but the stabs are sticking out of the parochas. So they're over here. Now we're asking, who told you that they're across? They're on the width of the Aron. Maybe they go across the length of the Aron. Yeah. So Amar Yehuda. So let's think about it. Trey Gavri the Amsul Palga lo mistagilahu. If you had the staves going across the length, so that means where would the people carrying them be standing? In the width area, where they be holding them, and that area is only an amma and a half, and an amma and a half can't hold two people. If you only had the staves going across the length, between each staff, there's two staves, there's four people carrying. Between each staff was only an amma and a half. You can't have two people in that area. I'm just wondering who says they were standing on the inside of the staff, maybe they're on the outside, and then it's fine. The Gemara, I guess the Gemara doesn't assume that that's an option. They have to be standing on the inside, on the inner part, and the inner part only an amma and a half. I'm just saying, if you're standing on the outer part, so then you have much more. That's not a suggestion. Uminolon de ba'arvu havedarlu, and how do you know that there were four people that were carrying it? Dichsiv and nasu hakahatim. So in the plural, there were kahatim, two, tray, and then it says no say ha-mikdash, the carriers of the mikdash, the carriers of the Aron. That's also in the plural, nami tray. So you had four people where they're both on the inside. So now, if the staves were across the length, the people standing there were by the width. That's only an amma and a half. But if the staves were across the width, meaning perpendicular to the Aron, not parallel to the Aron, then you have the whole length. That's plenty of space to stand all this whole area, and that's fine. Okay. Now we're going to see that there were, in the base of Mikdash, there were 10 tables, 10 menorahs. So the question is, how did they place them and not violate some of the rules of where the menorah should be placed? So, Tanu Rabbanan, Asara Shulchanos Asa Shlomo HaMelech. Shlomo HaMelech made 10 tables. Shenamar Vayasa Shulchanos Asara. Vayanach beheichal. He made 10 tables and he put them in the heichal. Chamisha miyamin, chamisha mismol. 5 to the right and 5 to the left. And the question is, to the right of what and to the left of what? So, first thing that comes to mind is when you walk in, there are 5 to the right of you and 5 to the left. Now, remember, as you're walking in, going towards the from west to east, so on your right side is the south and your left side is the north. The shulchan on the table has to be on the north, on your left side. That's what it says. If you have 5 to the left and 5 to the right, so then 5 to the right means 5 tables in the south. But the Torah says it has to be in the north. So it can't be that the 10 tables were divided up, 5 in the south, 5 in the north. So the table has to be in the north. And if you'll tell me that 5 are to the right of the entrance when you walk in and 5 are to your left, it comes out the table was in the south. The Torah Amra, the Shulchan Titein al Tzela Tzafon. It says that the Shulchan should be in the north. Ella shel Moshe be'emtza. What it means to the right and to the left means that the table that Moshe made was in the middle, and then you had chamisha miyamino v'chamisha mismolo, 5 to the right and 5 to the left. So they were all on the left side when you walked in the temple. All 10 fit, and we'll see how do they fit: east to west, north to south. But there was 10 there plus Moshe's, so 11 tables. I'm not sure why they needed so many. Could be there's a lot of people, a lot of kohanim. Yeah, that's why only practical that on the table was the bread. You had 12 breads, but you had thousands of people. You need to eat those breads every Shabbos. How are you going to do it? I don't know. That's the suggestion. So now that was clear that Shlomo did that. So that was the first temple. Tanu Rabbanon Asar Menoros Asar. Oh, there's also Shlomo. Asar Shlomo. Shinamar Vayasa Menoros Hazav. Asar. Eser ke mishpat. He made 10 menorahs. Vayitain beheichal. He put in the heichal, the holy area, or the more inner area. Chamisha miyamin and the chamisha mismol. 5 menorahs to the right and 5 to the left. Which right and which left? Vim tomar, like we said before, chamisha miyamin pesach. The chamisha mismol ha pesach. Now the menorah was on your right side. So when you walk in, the suggestion is that you had 5 on your right and 5 on your left, but then it's going to be a problem because the menorah has to be only in the south, which is your right. If it was 5 on the left and the north, that wouldn't be in the south; that would be in the north. So the Torah says that the menorah has to be opposite the shulchan, not next to it, opposite it. So if the table is in the north, so then the menorah has to be in the south. Ella, same thing. Moshe's menorah was in the middle, and you had 5 to its right and 5 to its left. Okay. Now we're going to have a seeming contradiction. 11, right? Yeah. Tani chado mechetzi bayis v'lifnim hayumunachim. Now here, you can't say what I said earlier. The table, you could maybe figure out why they needed so many tables because of food. But the problem is, the menorah, what do you want to say? They needed it for light? Well, the Gemara told us that Hashem doesn't need your light. Rather, the menorah was there to show that the Shekhinah dwells in the Jewish people. So, I don't know how that works exactly.
They didn't have skylight.
No. Yeah, so, I don't know. So, maybe it served both purposes. So I don't know. So so one said that they placed the shulchan, the menorah, both. The tables. The tables were all placed from half of the base of Mikdash and inwards. And one Brisa says it was really 1/3. So where were the tables placed? Halfway in or a third in? So velo kasha, it was 60 amos, and the question is 1/3 is 20, half is 30. But if you don't include the Holy of Holies, So then it's only, you're down to 40, I believe. So out of the 60 amos of the Heichal, so 10 of them was the Kodesh HaKadoshim. 20 of them were the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Yeah, so the Heichal, where you had the menorah and the Shulchan, was 40 amos. The Holy of Holies was 20 more amos. So the question is, when you said half and a third, how did you count? A third of 60 or half of 40? That's the same thing. So, below kasha, mark kachashiv base kodesh HaKadoshim. One counted, including the Holy of Holies, and therefore he said 1/3. It's 20 amos. That's where you put the tables. Bahadei heichal in the heichal. Umar lo kachashiv base kodesh HaKadoshim, and one didn't count the Holy of Holies. He only counted the holy area, which is 40, and therefore half of 40 is 20, and that's where he put the tables. Okay. Now it gets to me a little confusing. Where is that? How exactly you place them? East to west or north to south? So let's see. Taner Rabban Mizrach Umariv Hayu Munachim. You would put the tables in line with the way you were walking in, right? So you walk in, you're walking in, it's east to west, or really west to east. So you place the tables that direction, east to west. Yeah. Hayu Munachim, Divrei Rebbe. That's what Rebbe said. Rebbe Lazar, Rebbe Shimon Omer, Tzafon V'Darom. The arches, they were placed north to south. So perpendicular to the way you're walking in. They're going across. Not with you, but across. So let's go through each reason. My time of the Rebbe. What's the reasoning of Rebbe that they were placed east to west? Because it says, Gamar mi menorah. The Shulchan is learned out of the menorah. Ma menorah mizrach umar. Just like the menorah, the candelabrum was placed east to west. Ahav haninami mizrach umariv. So too, the tables were placed east to west. How do you know the menorah was placed that way? Menorah gufa minala. Now this is interesting. You have the western candle, b'ner maravi. It says Yarach Oso Aaron Lifnei Hashem. It should be placed Lifnei Hashem, before Hashem, which means it should really be. So how do you place only one candle before God and not the other ones? So that means that only one of them, right? Only one of them was really towards the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Now, if you are placing it north to south, perpendicular, so then they're all facing the Kodesh HaKadoshim. If you place it east to west, so then the candle that's closer to the east is the one that's considered the one that's closer. Yeah, so that's called Lifnei Hashem. That makes it more before God. Michlal the Kul Lifnei Hashem. So now, the east Sakadai took itself on Vidarim. If you want to tell me, morning. He did it by himself. He just came to review. You did already. You just came to review. So if you're placing the menorah north to south, so then they're all going across, facing the Holy of Holies. So that's how you know the menorah has to be east to west, and the shulchan on the table is patterned after the menorah, and it's also placed east to west. Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Shimon, my taima. Why does he say that the tables were north to south and not east to west? He gomer mi aron. He learns from the aron, from the ark. Ma aron tzafon v'darim. Just like the ark is north to south, av haninami tzafon v'darim. So too the tables are north to south. Says the Gemara, why doesn't Rebbe learn from the ark? Why does he learn from the menorah? The Rebbe nami legmar mi aron. Rebbe says no. I'm going to learn the things, like we always say, that are more similar to each other. So the table is outside the Holy of Holies, just like the menorah is. So if I'm going to learn from one of the two, the menorah or the Holy of Holies, I'll learn from the one that's closest to me, the one that's more in my camp. So me and the menorah, the table and menorah, both can't go into the Holy of Holies. So I'll pattern myself after the menorah. So done in chutz mi chutz and done in chutz mi pnim. I'm not learning a vessel outside the Holy of Holies, a vessel inside the Holy of Holies. Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Shimon, ligmar mi menorah. Okay, so that's so good. Why don't you, who learned that the table is north to south from the ark, learn from the menorah that it should be east to west, not north to south? Amar lach menorah gufa Amar lach menorah gufa tzafon v'darim have. Mancha, the menorah itself. Oh, so he argues. He says the menorah itself was placed north to south. The menorah itself was placed perpendicular north to south, according to this opinion. So, Ella, it says, Haksiv Yarachos, so Aaron Abanav, that Aaron and children should place it Lifnei Hashem. And we just said that that's impossible. That's not possible if it's going to be north to south. So what did you do? The mitzadid lahu adzdure. What you would do is you would place it, you would tilt it towards the Holy of Holies. One of the candles will be tilted facing the Holy of Holies, and that would be enough to be considered Lifnei Hashem. How do I know? The Tanya Amul Pnei Menorah Ya'iru Shivas Aneros. Towards the Pnei Menorah, towards the face of the menorah. Really, maybe how they translate it, Pnei Menorah. Face of the menorah, they should the 7 candles shall be lit. What does that teach you? They would face themselves towards the middle candle. They would all be tilted a little bit towards the middle candle. So you'd put like the oil in the wick. With the wick you'd place, if you're on the right side of the middle candle, you put it closer to the left. And if you're on the left side, you put the wick closer to the right. Yeah. 1 second. Yeah. Amar Rabbi Nassan, Mikan she'emtzai mishubach. Okay, from here I see that the middle candle is the most praiseworthy. Every candle's facing it. They're all tilted towards it. So now, fine, that's that. So now, 2 opinions how exactly the tables are situated, either north to south or east to west. I understand the opinion that says it's in line with when you walk in, right? They're facing east to west, not perpendicular, not across, but facing straightwards, east to west. So Hainu dahavi yasivi asara be'esrim. So now the placement is going to get complicated depending on if the tables are facing east to west or north to south. So if it was east to west, so then I understand how they put 10 tables there. Asara be'esrim. I understand how they put 10 tables in a 20 amma area. That's fine. Yeah, that's good. However, Elamandam or Tzafon v'Darom, how if you're putting them north to south, b'chaf be'esrim heichi haviyasvi. How exactly would you place these north to south? 1 second. The whole width of the heichal is only 20. So how did you put them? How did you put them across? Meaning width-wise, how did you put 10 tables? Meaning each table was. There's a picture. Each table, let's see. Each table has a certain width to it. So if you're putting it from north to south across, and that area is 20 amos, so how do you fit it all in? The table is we said it's each table is 1 amma. So it's 1 amma in width, and you're putting it across north to south, so then you have 10 tables, 10 amos. So why can't it work if you have 10 amos? Yeah. So we're asking all the words of Rabbi Shimon, how did he put them? All right, so what was the problem? What was the problem? Why can't it fit? The tables are 2 amos each. If you say that they're north to south, so then you're going to put the tables from wall to wall of the 20 amma sanctuary. So how can 10, 2 amma tables? No, that's wrong. It's 2 ammas. How can 10 2 amma tables rest exactly in 20 ammas of space? You only have 20 ammas of space. So if the tables are placed north to south, so then their length follows the width, right? Because you're placing them this way, you're placing them across. So they're going to take up the width of the sanctuary. So now the whole width is only 20 amos. So, and you need some little space between tables. So here you have a wall at the end of each of the tables, because we're talking about width-wise. There's no leeway. So and that can't be. Rashi says that can't be. You have to have some leeway. As opposed to the first opinion, that if you say it's not taking up the width, but you're going east to west, then everything is good. Why? Because you have all the tables. They're on the left side, and it's only when you put them lengthwise, right? So then you only take up a little bit of space widthwise, and that's fine. When you go widthwise, you take up a lot more, because
everything's all on one side.
Yeah, that we're gonna see. I think that's gonna be next. Oh. How we're gonna answer for him, but yeah, here's the point. The point is that when you're going from east to west, so you take up the whole space lengthwise. True. But between your in that area, you still have space. There's no 2 walls that you're getting smushed against, so you have leeway between the tables if you're going east to west lengthwise. If you're going north to south, so now your the width of the tables are going to total 20 ammas. So now you have no leeway to go around the tables at all. So the whole south side is open. Right now we're in the question. That's going to be the answer already.
Looks like it's all in one.
It has to be all on the left side.
North side.
On the north side, yeah. Yeah, it's on. Okay, so let's see. That's one question. If you go north to south, so then you're going to be taking up the entire space, the entire width of the heichal, and the width of the heichal is only 20. and 10 tables that take up a width of 20 in an area that's only 20 almost wide, that gives you 0 leeway. So Visu, another one, Kohanim, Hechi Habu Aili. If you're going north to south, so then how do the Kohanim get around you? Where do they walk? In that area, where do they go? You're taking up the entire width of the Heichal. So, and the Kohanim have to go inside. That's another problem. Visu Matzinu Heishol Chanus Bedarum. So you have now 5 tables in the south because you're taking up the entire area of the Heichal. Another problem. Visu Shulchan de Moshe Heichal Menachlei. And this is 10 tables. What happened to Moshe's table? Table 11. So now, at least that last part, L'tam Meich L'man Amar Mizrach U'Marav Nami Shulchan de Moshe Heichal Menachlei. That question of where's Moshe's 11th table is a question on you also, even if you hold east to west. Because east to west, you're holding lengthwise. It's going to go east to west. It's going to take up the entire area lengthwise. Widthwise, you have space. Lengthwise, you're done. So where did Moshe's table go? So now we're going to explain. Ella misavris chad darahave tre darininu. Who said that it was all the tables were right next to each other, meaning one head was at the other one's foot. Who said that's true? But tre daraviyasi, meaning who says it was 10 in a row, 10 in a single file line, lengthwise, or who says it was 10 packed together widthwise? Maybe there was 2 sets. There's 2 sets of 5 and 5. And Moshe's one was in the middle. Now, next page. Right. So Bishlam Alamanda Amar Tzafan Vidarim Shapir. So now we're saying, if that's true that it's now 2 rows, so then the one who says north to south is very good. That even though it's going to come out a little bit of the table might be in the south, which is a problem, but sounds like the problem is having the whole table in the south. A little bit is fine. You now do 2 rows, so then that's good. That'll work because you're 2 rows. You're no longer taking up the entire width of the Heichal. But according to the opinion, Elalamanda Amar Mizrach U'Mariv, the one that's going straight east to west, so how is that going to work? Michti Shulchan Kame Moshach Menachos. How far is the table from the wall? It's going to be 2 amos u'mechta, 2.5 amos. Then you have V'ama Didei. It itself is an amma. That's already 3.5. The 2 amos u'mechta de Beni. And then you have 2.5 amos between. Let's see the picture. So the picture, let's see. So let's see. So according to the one that it went straight, went east to west. So how much is, let's say, each row of tables? So it goes. So you're right. You're on the north side. So go from the wall 2.5 amos, and then it has its own amma of width. So that's 3.5. And there's 2 amos u'mechta de beni. And then there's 2.5. Then there's 2 1.5 amos between the first row and the table of Moshe, which is in the middle, and the amma of the table of Moshe. That's another amma. U'shte amos u'mechta de beni. And then you have 2.5 amos between Moshe's table and the other row of tables. And then you have the amma didei. The second row is also the width of an amma. So how much does that equal? So if after all that math, according to this, the the tables are going to go now into the south area, and half an amma into the south area, which is forbidden. So I think we'll continue from these pictures tomorrow.
That's not all there.